Alright, and I gotta warn you, this may happen again. I just removed a few hundred meg worth of stuff, but if it decides it doesn't have enough room, it's gonna do the same doggone thing. Alright, so we just went over this, alright, and we're down to here. So let's start writing these, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna write these 7 things right here next. And the good news is each one of them is about 5 or 6 lines long. That's it. Alright, so I'm going to come down here. I'm doing this right up above where I've got get payroll info. And I'm going to start putting in some comments. This method inputs the first name for each employee. There is no validation of first name done. What does that mean? That means that if I leave the first name blank, then the first name's blank. It means if the first name I put in 127, it thinks the person's first name is 127. Okay? But that's fine. So, private static string input first name int LCV. So let's look at this. Well, am I getting here? Oh, okay. I'm getting an error right now because it's expecting me to return a string. There's no return statement in there. But if you look up on the screen, please notice input first name now is not an error here. See that? All right. So what do we want to do? Well, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. That's the current person. Okay? Now, if right now, if we did this, don't type this in, please. But I'm going to do a console.clear. You'll put some of this in, but just give me a second to explain it to you, okay? And I'm going to put in here write. What happened there? Something did. Okay. Write. And you have to be able to spell. Okay. Employee number. No space. There we go. So where did I screw up here? And what else? And please input first name for employee number plus CV dot toString. There we go. All right, this is what we're going to put in. Don't type it in yet, though. I want you to see what's happening. All right, so we're going to run this. Now, I'd get a ton of errors if I ran it right now because this stuff doesn't exist. So I'm just going to, just for now, I'm going to comment all this out because I want you to see exactly what we just did. That should have removed all of the errors. So I'm going to save it and I'm going to run it. See that? Please input first name for employee 1. All right, so we said that would be Maya. For employee 2, that would be Dominic. For employee 3, that would be Jeff. For employee 4, that would be Angie. For employee 5, that would be Keegan. Does it make sense what we just did? All right. Well, the first thing, Okay, I don't want that \n there. This says please input, in fact I do. I don't want the last one. This says please input the first name. Now, why does that, who cares? Why does that matter? All right. Well, right now, if we left it, and we didn't put this in, it would say employee 0, employee 1, employee 2, employee 3, and employee 4. That might be confusing to somebody. So by saying LCV plus 1, remember Maya's employee 0? She's now 0 plus 1. So she's employee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the array, we're still 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But to the naked eye now, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just because it's easier for humans to understand. Just so you know, we talked about dates, right, last week? All right, well, you weren't here, but we talked about dates. And in some of the date functions that are in C#, it thinks January is month 0. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. I mean, I'm just being a little sarcastic, but it doesn't in that if you're born January 1st, you're not 00-01, you're 01-01. It's kind of the same thing here. So please put this in then. Put in these 4 or 5 lines or whatever it is. So your first one should look like this. How's that? And the console.clear will clear the screen. That's the only one of these that we're going to put a console.clear in. So that means that for every new employee, the screen will clear. It'll look a little nicer. Maybe that's easier to read. It's not blue. I don't know. If this is input first name, you want to take a wild guess over what will be the next routine? Input last name. So, I don't know about you, but I'm going to grab everything, including the comments, and I'm going to copy down all of that, including the blank line here, and I'm going to paste it in again. So right under input first name, I'm going to put in input last name, and this inputs the last name for each employee. There is no validation of last name done. Please enter the last name. Oops. It's pretty ugly. The good news is, though, that's it. First name and last name. Since I commented this line out here, if you look, I can now uncomment that one because it's not an error anymore. But this looks just like the previous one did. Except change every occurrence of first to last. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 occurrences. Okay? And the next thing we want to do is ID number. All right? So I'm going to, again, come down here. I'm going to copy all of this. Now, this isn't the best way of doing this, but I didn't want it where you're going to watch me type all period long, you know. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that in. And now I'm going to say this inputs the ID number for each employee. There is no validation of ID number done. This will become input ID number. Oh, make sure there's no console.clear. I'm sorry, because we're copying, except for the first name. Otherwise, you're going to have a blank line before each one. You won't like that. Just take my word for it. So that's ID number. ID number, ID number, ID number, ID number. So that one should look like this. So again, the first one has a console.clear. Do not put it in the second or the third one. Okay? After ID number, we have department. So again, I'm going up. Look on my screen, please. I can now uncomment that one. Okay? And now I want to have, I'm going to copy this again. And it will now become input department. Oops. Input department. 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 Okay. Now, it's a string. We could set the department up so it's a department number. All right. Or we could set it up as a name. You work in accounting. Maybe that's department 6. We could set it up either way. It doesn't matter. All right. And I can again go back up to the top here. And now my department number, I can remove that. All right. Anybody have any questions on input first name, input last name, input ID number, or input department? Any questions on any of those 4? All right. Okay. Well, we've got 3 more to go, and then we'll see where we are for time. Maybe we'll even take another break. Now, this one is quite a bit different, so all I'm going to copy here is the comment. So right underneath the department number, this method inputs the, what was next? Hours worked for each employee. All right. And this one does have validation done. All right. The only validation basically, though, I did a little bit. Okay. I did type and range validation done. If you say, I don't know what that means, that's what we're going to do right now. All right? So, these have all been private static. So I'm going to continue that. This will be a private static. But this does not return a string. This returns, because it's hours, a double. Input hours. And again, it's going to take an int LCV. And again, I can come back up here now, and I should be able to undo that one. There we go. Oh, it's hours worked, not hours. So my error, input hours worked. Okay. All right, did that fix this? Yes. All right. So right now, all we have is this. There's no code in there. We're going to put the code in now. This is more complex. Did you hear me? Why? Because when we do it, the person could leave it blank. They could put in none of your damn business. They could have put in hello. You know what I'm saying? So they could put something non-numeric in. We want to handle that. Also, if you remember, The smallest number of hours they can work are 0. The largest number of hours they can work are 84. Are you with me? So we have to account for that as well. So this is a little bit longer routine. It's probably about, I don't know, 15 lines or so. This one and the next one will be a little longer. All right, so I'm going to have a variable here that's of type string that I'm going to call our str. Str is just a shortcut for string. I'm going to have a Boolean that I'm going to call result. What kind of values can a Boolean hold? True, false. All right, I'm going to use that. Remember that try parse? I'm going to try to convert it, and if it comes back false, excuse me, I know it wasn't a number because it wouldn't allow me to convert it. And if that's the case, I'm going to return those default hours, which are 40, and if they put in a number less than 0 or greater than 84, I'm going to return the default hours, which are 40. All right, so that's what I've got to check here. So, right. Please input hours worked between. This is going to look a little bit ugly until we have it all written, so don't worry about it. Min hours and max hours plus for employee. Did we say, what are we saying? Employee number? Yep, we are. We're saying for employee number plus LCV plus 1 dot toString plus \n. All right, there's something here it doesn't like, so let's see if we can figure out what it is. Plus, oh, there's got to be a plus there. Did that fix it? Yes. Okay. All right, so we've got that. Right, fix that. Okay, we're gonna have to make a change. It's don't worry about it. You'll get an error. We'll fix it in just a minute. I'm getting the same error, just so you know, because I screwed up before, but that's okay. All right. I want to make sure you're to this point right here. Are you there? Keegan, you there? Okay. This, we're getting an error because we didn't pass it in. So we got to come up here. We got to go comma. Out. Double hours. Please change that up on here to this. There's one more fix we got to make to that. So, all right. You got that? All right. Now go back up here where we called it. Way up here. See this? And you got to put at the end out hours. Sorry about that. That's my error. On the next one, we're going to end up putting in out rate. All right. So out hours right there. Okay. That's back in your set employee info. Okay. So let's go back down to here. All right. Now, be a computer. I always say this to students, play computer, but look at what's happening here. This, we're going to ask the user to input an hours figure. Did you hear me? Whatever they input, hello, blank, mommy, 127, doesn't matter. Goes into that thing called hour string. Boom, it just goes in there. That's going in there right here. Then we're attempting to convert it to a double. It should work if the person running the program knows what they're doing. That's making a big assumption. All right, person running the program doesn't always know what they're doing. So we're going to come in here, we're going to say if not result, which means they put something non-numeric in. So non-numeric input entered. All right. So if that's the case, I'm going to try to help them. I'm going to put a right line, attempt to input non-numeric for hours worked. And I'm going to return the default hours. Return def hours. Now, why am I getting an error there? I'm not anymore. Okay. I'm going to run this right now. You don't have to. But look on the screen if you would. Okay. For a second, I have to put something here. So I'm just going to say return 0. Don't worry. You don't have to do that. I just want that error to go away. Don't put this in because we don't want that there. All right. But what I want to show you is this. Now, this is what we have in this program thus far. So, please input for employee 1. All right. No, we said that was Maya. All right. There's the last name. All right. There's the ID number. Here's the department. And now it wants the hours worked. You can see I've got one too many backslash ends there. We'll fix that. I don't care. The point is, now I'm going to put something bad in there. Okay? I don't have a read line, so you never even saw that message come. Are you with me? All right, so what does that mean? Well, that means that if I do want to see it, probably I'm going to want to put in here a read line. Let's just see. Let's see if that fixes it. Bob, Bill, Smith, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's whatever. Department, hello. Hours worked. Too many. No, still not showing it, so we'll have to fix that. Okay? I'm not sure what the problem is. We'll fix it. I'm not worried about it. All right. Let's finish this routine. So, if that's the case, we want to do this. Okay? Now, that's the first thing to worry about. So, the second thing to worry about is if the hours were less than the minimum, you've seen this check before, or the hours are greater than the maximum. All right, so if that's the case, let me get rid of that. Okay. So this means we have out of range input. Did you hear me? All right, probably should have taken this thing right here. Moved here. So non-numeric. Now this is out of range. I'm just going to steal these two things. Attempt to input out of range value for hours worked. And again, I'm returning the default hours. If I get down to here, so if I get down to here, we had numeric input. Validate it is within range. In other words, between 0 and 84. All right. So if we get down to here, we had valid numeric input. In other words, we did have a value between 0 and 84. So all we want to do is return our hours. All right. So taking this one quickly from the top. This method inputs the hours worked for each employee. Type and range validation is done. All right, so we are passing in the current employee, not their number, but where they are in the array, and hours. Out means, just so you know, we're getting it from someplace else, but it hasn't been set yet. It will be set in the routine. All right, so this is our hour string. This value, again, is what we read in. This value is what we read in. This is the result of trying to convert that value to a double. It'll be either true if I can convert it, or false if I cannot. If I cannot, I had non-numeric input. So I give them a message saying, I had non-numeric input, and I return the default. If I get down to here, I had numeric input, but I have to do a range check to make sure it's between 0 and 84. All right? And if I get down to here, it was valid. All right, let's just do the next one, then we'll take another break. So I'm going to copy this, but I'm going to have to make changes. Quite a few changes. Maybe I shouldn't even be copying it, but I am anyway. So I'm going to copy that to the clipboard, and I'm going to paste it in right below where we were. And this one will be input hourly rate. All right. And the reason I'm getting an error up on top is since I copied it, it's in here twice. So this has to be hourly rate. Okay, so this method inputs the hourly rate for each employee. Type and range validation done. It's not going to return a double, it's returning a decimal. All right, input hourly rate, int LCV, out decimal rate. So change this stuff. This will now be called rate string. All right, do this right there, and I'll look up in a couple minutes and I'll say, do you have that stuff done? All right, again, we'll take a break in about 5 minutes. The stuff that's below the blue, we got to make changes to. All right. Got everything up to there? All right. So we want to change this to please input hourly rate. That's between min rate and max rate for the employee. That's all okay. And this is rate string, must be there. Result equals decimal dot triparse rate string out rate okay rate return def rate. All right, we'll stop right there. So do this part next here. Hopefully, if you have any errors, they're below this and the stuff we still have to change. You have this? All caught up? All right, I'm going to move down then. So we had numeric input validated, it's within range. Now it's not 0 to 84, it's 0 to 250, and it's rate, and it's max rate and min rate. All right, attempt to input out of range for hourly rate. And return default rate. And finally, return rate. That's the rest of it. Now, ideally, at least, you have no errors right now in your code. You can look over here. If you look, I've got a bunch of stuff that's like in gray or whatever. See this, how I have, there's no red over here? It means I don't have errors right now. And if you look up on the top here, we have now written all of those. So we have, the only one we have to write for our input yet is, and it's not input, it's a calculate, is our gross pay. Everything other than our gross pay is done. Did you hear me? All right. It is 9:19. Let's come back at 9:35, please.